That technical foul called against Caitlin Clark in the New York Liberty game was egregious. The referee, before Caitlin Clark even finished her sentence, that referee, Roy Jelly Bean, String Bean, Lima Bean, already made up his mind saying, you know what? I'm teeing up.
5 words. That is roughly how long she talked before the whistle went up. Not a tirade, not a chase down the sideline. 5 words, and the decision was already made. So ask the obvious question. Why does the shortest leash in this league belong to the one player everybody bought a ticket to see?
Caitlin Clark calls that guy out. Caitlin Clark lets everybody know, I'm feeling good. I feel good. Na, 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 na. She lets everybody know, I'm feeling good. Played my first back-to-back since 2024. I feel good.
First back-to-back since 2024. She says it flat. No hedge, no qualifier, straight into a room full of microphones so nobody can claim later that they misheard her. Feels good. That is the answer. And it is the same answer she has given every single time somebody has put a microphone near her lately. Remember that phrase. Because a few minutes from now, somebody else inside that exact same organization gets asked the exact same question and gives you the opposite answer.
I feel good. The Seattle Storm game, she even went as so far as saying, Stephanie White, trainers, you know you better not pull me out this game. You know you better not pull me out this game.
Read what she is actually doing in that moment. That is a player going to her coach and her training staff before tip-off and telling them in advance, do not take me out of this one. Players do not say that when they are hurting. Players say that when they are tired of being protected. There is a real difference between a body that cannot go and a body that is being held back by a clipboard, and she is telling you which one this is in the plainest language available to her. The people who set her minutes did not hear it that way, or they heard it perfectly well and decided it did not change anything.
So minutes restriction for Wednesday's game shouldn't be here. But unfortunately, leave it up to Stephanie, Methany, Heffany White to not give us a finite answer. She doesn't give us the answer that we want. When asked about Caitlin Clark being on minutes restriction, Stephanie White apparently hasn't made up her mind.
So we get another news cycle about a minutes restriction that nobody will actually define. Not the number, not the ceiling, not the date it comes off. Here is what makes that strange, rather than just irritating. A minutes restriction is a medical instrument. It exists because a training staff has a specific concern about a specific load on a specific body, and it arrives attached to figures because figures are the entire point of it. You do not restrict a player to a feeling. You restrict a player to a number, and then you either hit that number or you do not. Nobody has produced the number, not the coach, not the staff, not anybody standing near a microphone. And once you look at the calendar this is all sitting on, it gets worse. Stay with me on that, because when we get to what is parked on the schedule immediately after Wednesday, this restriction stops looking cautious and starts looking like something much less flattering.
What means so much to me, Caitlin Clark's full media availability. Let's hear what Caitlin Clark had to say.
What did you think of the game yesterday?
Boring. Really boring.
How are you feeling after, how were you feeling yesterday? How are you feeling today after playing back-to-back?
Feel good. Great.
Good?
Yep.
Feels good, feels great. After playing the back-to-back, after resting over the weekend. I better not see this minutes restriction nonsense anymore.
Feels good. Feels great. That is the entire injury report, delivered by the only person in the building who is actually inside that body. Now notice how the room handles it. Nobody follows up. Nobody says, fine, if you feel great, what precisely is the restriction protecting you from? The athlete at the podium is giving a cleaner, more direct answer than the medical process behind her, and the natural follow-up question just never arrives. That is exactly why the audience reaction to all of this has gotten so loud. Fans are not inventing a grievance out of thin air. They are watching the person whose knees and lungs are on the line say she is fine, on the record, over and over, while the people around her keep the word restriction alive without ever attaching a figure to it. When the athlete is the most transparent voice in the organization,
Can we please finally hand her the keys to the car? Please, Stephanie, hand her the keys to the car. Stop with this hubba bubba, hubba nonsense. CC is the engine. We don't need AB to be a hub. We need AB to get in where she fits in.
Let us get into the basketball of it. Because the minutes fight is downstream of a bigger design problem. The argument you just heard is that when she is capped, the offense gets rerouted. And lately, that reroute runs through Aaliyah Boston as a hub. Boston is a genuinely excellent player. She is not a point of attack. Ask her to survey the floor and make live reads out of the high post, and you are asking a finisher to do a distributor's job, which slows the whole thing to a crawl and lets defenses load up on precisely what they were already trying to take away. The version of this team that actually frightens opponents is not complicated. Clark initiates. Boston screens, then chooses, pop out for the 3, roll hard to the rim, or flare to 15 or 17 feet and punish the help defender who cheated. 3 options off 1 action, and the defense has to be right on all 3. That is not a scheme problem. That is a personnel arrangement that only works when the engine is on the floor, which brings you straight back to the minutes.
Random question about your shoes, the purple version. How much input do you have on like the colorways? I know you got one like the design, but like is the colorway also a lot of hands-on?
Yeah, I mean.
No, James. I'm pretty sure that's James. No, James. She's going to put out a color that she definitely doesn't want to be put out. She's going to put out a color of her shoes that she definitely doesn't want to.
And then in the middle of all of that, the press conference turns into this. A reporter asks about the purple colorway. How much say does she actually have in the color of her own shoe? And it lands like a soft question, the kind you politely wait out before getting back to the real story. It is not a soft question. It is the single most revealing question in the entire session, and it takes about 90 seconds to prove it. Because every other fight running through this room is a question about control. Who decides how long she plays? Who decides what she is allowed to say to an official on a basketball court? Who decides when the restriction lifts, and who is even required to explain it? And a reporter has just walked in and asked her, on the record, whether she controls the one product that carries her own name on the side of it. Watch what happens to the tone when she answers.
Whoa. Cece, I hope that's not the case, Cece. I hope that they only put out what you okay them putting out. If there's a color that they put out and you aren't okay with, I hope you say, I don't want that to be put out. This is your shoe on the line. They don't put out, well, I'm sure now they do, but back, I'm sure they didn't put out a Jordan colorway that Jordan wasn't like, oh, these are fire. The Oreos, I'm sure they didn't put out Oreo 6s without Jordan being like, oh, these are nice. I'm sure they didn't put out infrareds without Jordan being like, damn, these are nice.
The comparison being drawn there is the correct one, even if it is being made at volume. Signature shoes are not decoration. They sit at the very top of the athlete pyramid, and the reason a signature line means anything is that it signals the company is not renting a name. It is building an entire business around a person. That relationship has always been measured one way, not by how many pairs move, by veto power, by whether the athlete can kill a design before it ships. Every signature line that still carries weight decades later was built by an athlete who said no. Colorways got scrapped. Samples got sent back to the design floor. That is the whole reason those shoes still mean something, because there was a human being attached to them with the standing to reject work. So the question buried underneath the purple question is identical to the question buried underneath the minutes question. When she says she does not want something, does anything in the world actually change? Everywhere else in this press conference, the answer has been no.
Now, so James, I apologize. Maybe that was a good question.
But I have a good amount to say. Like, if I really don't like the color, I'll get rid of it. But
Oh, okay. So, yeah, that was a bad question. Like I thought it was a bad question. Moving on.
at the same time, like, not everybody needs to like the same colors as me, and I want people to find a color or, you know, whatever it is that they feel comfortable in or makes them them. So there'll be options for everybody.
There it is. A good amount of say. If she does not like a color, it is gone. That is a real answer, and it is the first clean yes anybody gets out of this entire session. Somewhere in that partnership, the word no functions as a word. She says it, and a colorway does not reach a shelf. Then she does something that tells you a great deal about who she is. She immediately hands the freedom back. Not everybody needs to like the same colors she likes, so there should be options for everybody, including options she personally would never lace up. She holds the veto and deliberately declines to swing it at people who just want a shoe they feel good wearing. Now set that next to the other story running through this same room. In the one arena where she holds actual authority, she uses it lightly and shares it out. In the two arenas where she holds none, over her own minutes and over what she is permitted to say during a live basketball game, she is being told to sit down, be patient, and wait for somebody else to decide. The person is not the problem in this story. The permissions are.
What's been your favorite color so far?
I really like the all white.
Purple. The metallic purple, or whatever you're calling them. The purples are the nicest.
They're fire. But purple aren't bad.
Do you know about how many colorways you're gonna have by hand?
Puts her head down and works.
All white, metallic purple. She has an opinion and she offers it without needing to be coaxed. which is worth clocking given how the rest of this stretch has gone for her. And this is where the money stops being a footnote. The reason a global company hands a player that kind of creative authority is not affection, it is demand. The games she plays in pull audiences the rest of the schedule does not touch. Road opponents move her games into bigger buildings. Broadcast partners rearrange windows around whether she is available. That is the real leverage in the room, and everybody standing in that room knows the arithmetic, which makes the central absurdity of this whole situation hit a lot harder. A shoe company will let her veto a product before it exists. The franchise whose entire season depends on her cannot bring itself to tell her how many minutes she is allowed to play on Wednesday. One of those organizations is treating her like the asset she plainly is. The other is treating her like a liability to be contained. And we are about to see which of those two instincts is driving the decision that actually matters.
Caitlin Clark, speaking on the foul real quick.
To finish through contact, that was pretty fun, and I actually had probably the best view of it because I was kind of trailing right behind her, so it was pretty cool, and obviously got the crowd into it too.
And as we asked you, did you get an explanation for your tech? What happened in that?
I just yelled at him to call it, and obviously it was a pretty quick technical, but whatever.
Now we are at the tape. Her own account of the technical, in her own words without being pushed into it. She yelled at a call. That is the offense in full. And listen closely to the phrasing at the end, because it carries an enormous amount of weight. It was a pretty quick technical, but whatever. But whatever. That is a player who has concluded there is no point filing a complaint, because she already knows exactly how the complaint gets received. Understand what she was reacting to in the first place. She was trailing the play. By her own description, she had the best view in the building of the contact. The crowd came alive, she said something about it, and a whistle answered her. That is the most ordinary sequence in the sport. Every player in this league does it. A large number of them do it louder, longer, and with considerably more profanity, and most of them are still talking about it 30 seconds later with no technical attached. So the question was never whether she said something. She freely admits she said something. The question is why the meter reading on her runs so much hotter than the meter reading on everybody else wearing a jersey that night. And she answers that herself in about 4 seconds without being asked.
Pretty quick technical. I'm on a pretty short. It's crazy. Everybody else gets the longest leash possible. I'm on a pretty short leash. I get one outburst that doesn't get called, and the very next game, tack. Oh boy.
Caitlin, do you think that you need to change any of your approach to the game because you are so close to the suspension?
No.
Caitlin, do you think you need to change your competitive fire because you're close to the suspension?
A short leash. She says it herself, and she says it with the flatness of somebody who has run the experiment enough times to already know the result. This is where the whole thing finally cracks open. That technical does not sit by itself in a vacuum. It sits on a running total, and the league's accumulation rules turn a running total into an automatic suspension the moment it crosses a threshold. Which means a quick whistle is never just a quick whistle. It is a deposit into an account that eventually withdraws a game she is perfectly healthy to play. Then listen to what a reporter asks her next. Whether she needs to change her approach. Whether she should dial down her competitive fire because she is sitting close to that line. Sit with how backwards that is for a second. What is being requested of her is that she become less of the exact thing that made anyone care in the first place. Not that she pick her spots more carefully. Not that she save it for a dead ball. That she lower the internal temperature that is the entire reason those broadcast windows got rearranged around her. And she says no. One word. No hedging, no diplomacy, no press conference cushioning. That refusal is the most important thing said in this entire session, and it points straight at the real problem, which was never the referee. The referee is the visible part, the part that fits in a highlight. The genuine damage shows up in the very next answer, and it does not come from an official. It comes from her own bench.
Let's hear Stephanie White speak about Caitlin Clark's minutes restriction.
I have no idea. It's 1 day at a time.
I have no idea. It's 1 day at a time.
I have no idea. It's 1 day at a time.
I have no idea. It's 1 day at a time. Stop this. Stop this madness. Stop these lies. Stop moving this along. Stop continuing this forward. Just stop.
I have no idea. 1 day at a time. That is the head coach of the franchise. Asked a direct question about the availability of the most consequential player in the sport. And that is the answer that comes back. Put the two statements side by side, because this is what everything has been building toward. The player says she feels good and wants the cap gone. The coach says she has no idea. Both of those cannot describe the same team on the same afternoon. Either there is a medical plan with a figure attached to it, in which case say the figure out loud, or there is no plan at all, in which case stop using the word restriction and simply admit she is being managed by feel. Now, to be fair to the coach, there is an honest version of this. Load management calls genuinely do get made on the morning of a game, based on how a player moves through shoot-around, and a coach who commits to a hard number on Monday can be publicly called a liar by Wednesday night. Vagueness protects her. It is not irrational. But vagueness carries a cost, and the person paying it is not the coach. Every day the answer stays undefined is another day the conversation is about her availability instead of her basketball. Another day the noise machine gets fed a fresh meal. Another day she walks into an arena genuinely not knowing how much of the game belongs to her. You cannot ask somebody to carry a league on her back and simultaneously keep her guessing about whether she gets to finish the fourth quarter.
Take the minutes restriction off. Cut it out. Caitlin Clark, you got to go up to Stephanie. I feel good. We're done with this minutes restrictions nonsense. I let you have your fun for the last 4 games. Fun's over. Go up to the medical staff. Medical staff, fun's over. I'm talking to my team. I'm talking to my staff. I'm talking to my trainers. Fun's over. We let you guys have your little fun thinking you guys know my future best. Fun's over. Now it's time for me to put my foot down. I got a game on Wednesday, and then we have the whole entire All-Star.
So here is the calendar I told you to hold on to. And this is the part that should actually bother you. There is a game on Wednesday. Immediately after Wednesday comes the All-Star break, which means she plays 1 restricted game, and then she does not play meaningful competitive basketball for the better part of a week. The rest is already sitting there in the schedule. The league handed it over for free. So the cap on Wednesday is not protecting anything. If the concern is accumulated load, the break resolves it without anybody lifting a finger. If the concern is a specific injury that has not fully healed, then she should not be dressing at all, and nobody in that organization is willing to say that because she keeps standing at a podium telling anyone who will listen that she feels great and just came through her first back-to-back in 2 years. Which leaves one explanation standing. The restriction on Wednesday is not medicine. It is insurance. It is a front office protecting itself from a headline it does not want to own, and the premium on that policy is being paid in her minutes, in her rhythm, and in the patience of every single person who tuned in. She is also the only one who can end it. Not by arguing with an official, because we have now watched exactly what that costs her and how much closer it pushes her to a suspension. She ends it by walking into that building and telling her coach and her training staff, in the same blunt language she uses at the podium, that the experiment is finished and she is playing the whole game. So which one is it for you? Is this a franchise being genuinely careful with a player they cannot afford to lose, or is it a franchise quietly insuring itself while she pays the premium in minutes she is never getting back? Tell me in the comments, because I do not think this one is particularly close. Like the video if you think this needed saying out loud. Subscribe if you want the follow-up. The second Wednesday's minutes get posted, and I will see you next time.